In this video, we're going to learn all about Saturn moving into Pisces, as well as a card reading and individual forecasts for Pisces to Aries. All right. Well, I told you March was going to be crazy. And one of the craziest things in March is Saturn moving into Pisces. Saturn. This is kind of grandma matriarchal energy. You know, when you have that elderly person in your family that kind of ruled the roost, and you always had family get-togethers at your grandma's house, and then when she passes away, everything falls apart. The families don't get together anymore. There's this sort of matriarchal responsibility and wisdom with Saturn. It teaches us some lessons and where we have to be more responsible in our lives. So we're moving into Pisces March 7th. Saturn moving into Pisces March 7th, and it's going to last until February 14th of 2026. So the last time that Saturn moved into Pisces was 1994 to 1996. It was in Pisces. Where was I in 94, 96? Well, I was in grade 11 and 12. So if you look at my chart, Saturn was really affecting my reputation, my recognition, trying to make my place in the world. Saturn is a lot about your mental health too, defining things in your psychology, but it can bring a little bit of heaviness. Even the most optimistic person can become a little pessimistic when Saturn is in transit here. So it's important to maintain a positive attitude and to keep yourself healthy. An example for Saturn and Pisces health-wise, it's going to affect our lymphatic system. We want to keep lots of water. We want to keep the fluids moving through the body and release the toxins. Detox things are very good for us here in the next few years while Saturn's in Pisces. But Pisces rules the feet, so we could see some issues, Saturnian issues, for these next few years. We could see more dry, cracked foot skin, more ankle injuries. You got to watch the feet. I think that people who sell shoes, those kind of businesses will actually thrive in these next few years while Saturn's in Pisces. Now, we can also see some lowered immunity and lymphatic issues. We want to keep the moisture, like with water, to keep the fluids going. We want to keep our immune system up through good diet and vitamins and minerals and things like that. You know, the regular stuff. There can be some lung weakness as well. So issues in the lungs, respiratory issues as well. So we want to watch for that. So I would recommend a few crystals, if you like crystals. Rose quartz for the lungs and heart and things like that. And amethyst, which is kind of a Jill of all trades stone, can help all of the immune system too. And so purple amethyst would be nice, as well as smoky quartz to help with the root chakra, the ankles, the feet. This, you know, we stand on our feet and it's our support system. So black tourmaline as well with the smoky quartz could be very good. And we want to make sure we keep our vitamin D up because we want to avoid rickets, which isn't really a thing in our day, but also, you know, the teeth and things like that, because Saturn kind of rules the bones and teeth quite a bit too. So we want to watch for the vitamin D, magnesium, that kind of thing for the next few years. Teeth, make sure we keep care of our teeth. That's very important as well. Okay, and then if you like essential oils, I would recommend peppermint and any of the respiratory blends for easy breathing. That could be very good. And rose oil, it's the most expensive one, but it's the highest frequency vibration on the scale. So it would be good to have rose oil in your essential oil vaporizer here too, if you can get your hands on that. Preferably really good high quality ones like doTERRA or Young Living, for example, could be very good for you. So basically, Saturn brings us the lessons of being wise and responsible, and for being more serious in certain aspects of our life. So with that, let's go into the collective card reading for everyone. And then I'm going to get into Pisces to Aries individual forecast for Saturn in your chart. Okay, so let's begin with the collective card reading. All right, so let's do our Lenormand with our Oracle card reading for Saturn moving into Pisces for the general collective. Now, these are our cards, the Power of 8 Chakra Oracle on top, the pink one. And the blue ones we're working on currently at getting published for this late spring, early summer. So stay tuned for that. And they are from our new Lenormand deck, the Power of 8 Chakra Lenormand. So stay tuned for that. All right, let's look at the cards. Okay, so we'll start at the bottom, the Lenormand, 3-card Lenormand spread. Okay, so we've got the letter, we've got the heart, and we've got the key. Wow, nice cards for this Saturn in Pisces time for us. The letter means some kind of communications and writings, and it's about things that we love with the heart. But it also brings us solutions with the key, new doors opening through communications, loving communications with others. Okay, and then when we look at the Power of 8 Oracle card on top, we see number 2. I have passion. And so this is a lot about Saturn moving into a new sign can bring a little bit of depression. And so we do want to keep the fire going. Remember I told you we need some fire. So using orange things like orange essential oils and vitamin C and doing things that bring you a little more fire in your life, right? That heat, that fire that we need at this time. And so doing things that we love, having passion for life, the joie de vivre that can sometimes, get dissipated through Saturn and Pisces, for example. But all in all, with the messages of love bring solutions. Writing can be a good passion for you, or writing about your passions and doing things together. You might get an invitation, a message from someone to go do something fun and passionate. Could be someone inviting you to go for a coffee with them or to do a wine and paint night with them. I mean, there's all sorts of messages that we can get at this time, but I think it's important to go with the things, the people, the feelings of passion during Saturn moving into Pisces. Okay, well, that was a great reading. Now let's get started from Pisces to Aries about what Saturn means for you in these next few years from March 2023 until about 2026. All right, Aries rising, and those with their moons in Aries. Saturn, the planet of restriction and delays, is teaching us lessons, though. That's why it does that. Now, it happens in your 12th house, and this is a hard house, meaning that it's all about being structured and disciplined in your inner self. It's starting to look deep within yourself, and there could be some big changes happening for you if you do the work. Saturn wants you to learn lessons, wants you to be disciplined, wants you to finish the goal and then we can move on to the next task. Okay. So right now, in these next few years, it's about working with the suppressed depression that you have inside of you that you've been burying and pushing down for years. Now's the time Saturn's going to make you work about it and help you to improve it. And although it can feel pretty depressing sometimes, you're probably already starting to feel the effects of this. Yes, it can feel depressing while we're releasing. There's a lot of this trauma work. It would be really good for you to see a wise therapist, someone who works in hypnotherapy or past life regression or something like that, and working on reprogramming your mind, Aries, for positivity. You're going to very much need to do lightening up things, like lighten up, because it's going to feel quite heavy for the next 2 years. Can feel depressing. It could be like, all this depression, I can't get out of bed syndrome. But we want you to get out of bed, Aries. We don't want you to suppress the fire that's within you, Aries. You have to do fun things. You have to do the work. You have to look at these dark places that you've been suppressing and the trauma that you've endured in your life, and just in a more responsible, wise, Saturnian way, deal with it. And that's what Saturn's going to help you do. Now, Another thing too about the 12th house is that people are going to want to rely on you, because with Saturn's bringing an energy of responsibility to you in the 12th house, meaning that other people are going to want to rely on you. And you're already like, man, I'm trying to work on myself here and I got to work with on these people. But, you know, it is a good karmic thing to do to help someone out during this time, you know, with Saturn in your 12th house. It's good karma to be a good listener. Just be supportive. You don't have to say much. Just listen to them and just show that you are there to support them. And you might need to lean on people too, because some days with Saturn in that 12th house, it's going to be like, I can't get out of bed. I'm depressed. I'm sad. And this trauma work's been really tough. This is like the dark night of the soul stuff here, okay? It's for you, Aries. And depending on where you, during Aries season you were born, it could happen later in the 2 years, or it could happen right away. Depends. And that's a long story for another day. But for now, Aries, just know in these next 2 to 3 years, you are going through a period of transformation. And it's finally dealing with that suppressed emotion. Okay, so I would suggest, I just got the download, lemongrass in your diffuser for those days, or orange tangerine for those days when you super need a boost of happy for the darker days that are coming for you. Put that in your thing. Now, for some of you, Aries, you might not really realize it because you've done the work. You've released the trauma. You've forgiven. You've maybe done some therapy. So it just kind of depends how much you've built up. So seeing a therapist at this time, seeing a hypnotherapist too, and doing massage, deep lymph massage is going to be really good for you, Aries, to get all that energy out. Drink lots of water. Start really thinking about flushing the old trauma away, the energy, and letting it go to God or the universe or whatever, whoever's your thing, right? Letting it go off your auric field so that it's no longer bombarding you and pushing you down, because the 12th house already is a heavy house. And with Saturn in there, Aries, you do need a little extra stuff to make you happy. Okay. So, and then those days where you really need to rest and do that. You know, some days you just got to recover and you just got to rest and stay in bed and watch Netflix all day. Who cares? Just do it if you have to. Just don't stay there. Don't be there all the time. But on certain days, you might feel really, really heavy and you might need to do that. Now, Aries, you're very much sort of this exercise person, or you like activity, I should say. Lots of Aries people are like slim and they like to go. And so with Saturn in the 12th house, it might make you feel a little less like you used to feel about going, right? And you know, it's just a cycle. And don't worry, in a few years, it's going to move out of Pisces into your sign of Aries. You're going to feel so much better. But right now, Aries, it's just time to do the inner work, okay? I feel in my heart that Saturn's really going to affect you if it hasn't started already. And so just know it's bringing you lessons, and you're going to, and although you feel like, oh my God, this sucks, watch, because in a few years from now, you're going to be like, oh, I'm such a different person now. I'm so much better. I'm so much more improved. I'm awesome. This is great. You know, holy, that was a hard thing I went through, but look at me now. Okay, Aries, lots of love. Taurus and Taurus rising, and those with their moons in Taurus. All right. So we have Saturn, the planet of wisdom, responsibility, structure, and can bring restrictions and delays sometimes because you have to learn a lesson. Now, these lessons for you and these things are happening in your 11th house of your groups and your organizations. So for quite a few Taurians, you're changing the people that are in your social group, your networks, your friends, your groups on Facebook that you watch, or your YouTube channels even that you watch, things like that. You're changing who you associate with because you feel like you want to be more responsible. You may want to up level in your life, and you know that you maybe need some more mentors. Like you subconsciously probably know that you're looking, or you're subconsciously maybe attracting people into your circle who are wiser than you, better in business, can teach you something. That could be a thing too. or you're getting rid of, deleting, cancel, clearing, deleting out of your video game of life people that suck your energy, like parasites, or people who are too immature for you, because Saturn brings a sense of maturity. It does rule aging. And so it could be that too. It's like, oh man, all this stuff was good when I was young and that, but now I'm becoming wiser and more responsible, and I want to have friends and social networks and things that can help me up level with that 11th house. It's basically associating with wiser, smarter people than you who can help you stick to the game plan, because that's Saturn. He likes to have structure, stick to it, get to the end, finish the thing. And, and which is going to help you to attain the hopes and wishes and aspirations of the 11th house. All right, Taurus? Gemini and Gemini rising, and those with their moons in Gemini. Well, you've got an interesting Saturn placement. Saturn's bringing you some more structure and responsibility solutions to your career, 10th house. So this is really great for business because, by the way, Saturn likes being in the 10th house. It likes doing things that has to do with career and work as well. Although in some cases, it can bring restrictions to your career, but only because it's trying to teach you some kind of lessons. So if you feel like something's delayed and slow, start asking yourself why that could be. Why is this delayed? And then what do I have to do with it? And how are my thoughts affecting it and my actions affecting this whole thing? But in general, it could be very good for business, being tedious, having a good structure in your business, in your career, and even getting promoted to be a managerial position or something like that as well. It's really good too if you're in medicine careers in medicine, I should say, or in any kind of research sort of job or career. Very good because Saturn makes you do things for a really long time. And so sometimes it's hard to get through it because it's tedious, but Saturn gives you that energy and lets you have some good structure and gets you to the end. It gets you focused. And that's a good thing about Saturn here. So hard work and organization will pay off for you, Gemini, in this sort of house of how you are recognized by people. So if you own your own business, you could use Saturn to make a structured marketing campaign, a structured advertising campaign, promotional campaign to get more clients, for example, or to restructure your business so that it's a little more efficient. That's if you own your own business. If you own your own career, or if you work for someone and you're in your career, it can help you to be more in a leadership position or gain more fame and recognition that way at work. To be the responsible manager, that kind of feeling can up-level you in your career, your business. Okay, so that's for you, Gemini. Remember, hard work is going to pay off. Saturn likes hard work. And also organizing, making sure everything's organized and structured. That's going to be very important for you in the next 2 years. Okay, Gemini? All right, Cancer. With Saturn in your 9th house, there's a lot more about, so the 9th house likes to expand its mind, and it's ruled by Jupiter, the holly jolly planet, and then Saturn comes in and he's like, well, wait a second here, folks. We need to be a little more responsible when it comes to our philosophies, our beliefs. The 9th house is about learning and expanding the mind, and Saturn wants you to be responsible and not get too out of control, but also wants to use the practicality of Saturn. So it's like you can learn something, you can read books till the cows come home. But if you don't do anything with that knowledge, it's just knowledge. It's just stuff in your head. And so Saturn's saying, why don't you find ways to use that knowledge in real life? Okay. So it's kind of like getting your hands on something and doing it rather than just about reading about it or, watching a video on YouTube about it, right? Okay. And then also Saturn can make you a little more wise and structured when it comes to your foreign affairs. So let's say you have your own business and you're working on ninth house matters, like publishing things. Okay, and I'll give you an example for me because this really resonates with me because I'm a Cancer moon. And so me and Michelle are working on our next chakra oracle deck called the Chakra Lenormand that you saw at the beginning of this video for the collective for Saturn. Okay. So there's publishing involved in the ninth house and talking to people overseas in the ninth house. And so Saturn's going to bring us Cancerians some structure, some stability, and some solutions for doing things in a proper way. So that's really good. Another thing too is some of you might meet partners, new long-term marriage partners, even through travel or through exotic sort of trips or something like that, like or just foreign affairs, foreign people that aren't necessarily in your country even, and starting to maybe you could possibly meet a partner, a long-term Saturn forever till you die, get all together, that kind of feeling as well. So that could be really cool for you, Cancer, as well. But all in all, it's about doing rather than just reading about it. Okay, Leo and Leo rising and those with their moons in Leo. Saturn, the planet of restriction and delay, does so on purpose so that you learn lessons and make things better and more structured. Now, it happens in your 8th house of your other money, meaning like your investments, your loans, your debts, and that kind of other money. You could be your spouse's income as well. So, although you may see some difficulties in the money and you may see some delays in getting a loan, for example, or something like that, where the money is sort of delayed or restricted in some way, it's only because Saturn's trying to teach you some kind of responsible, wise structure lesson, meaning that it's a good time to go through your loans. How do we pay the debt off? How do we save for our retirement? How do we restructure? Because Saturn's all about being a wise restructure and making things better. How could we do that to our loans, our investments, our 401ks, our RRSPs, our retirement income, our investments, all that thing? You might even be looking at your investments and starting to think more about, I don't really like how my crypto thing went. Maybe I should look at buying more gold, silver, things that always go up in price, although slowly, like Saturn, takes a long time. But it's the responsible choice, for example. So there's things like that going on for you, Leo, about your money and having better control over that. Now, the 8th house can also be about the bedroom, if you know what I mean. And so maybe you're looking at having more control in those sexual aspects of yourself and having more wise, responsible Saturn choices in that kind of thing as well. And, Saturn also kind of shows us where we're restricted. So maybe you're feeling restricted sexually, and then it'll tell you why, and then we can work on that. There's a lot about needing to lighten up too, because of the 8th house. Saturn being the 8th house can bring kind of a gray cloud. And so we really want to lighten up and do fun things and make sure that money is not always on your mind. And but it is a lot about making a better relationship with money too. This guy, Ken Honda, I like watching him. He would be a really good suggestion for you, Leo, to work with your money, your loans, your taxes, and all that kind of stuff for the next few years. Okay. Having money is your friend, that kind of feeling. All right, Virgo and Virgo rising and those with their moons in Virgo. Saturn, the planet of delays, restrictions, but responsible structure, happens in your 7th house of relationships, marriage, contracts, partnerships. So on the bad or negative, if you're not using Saturn wisely, you could see some delays in marriage, delays in the contract with the partnership, a business partnership, delays in getting proposed to, delays with getting married, things like that could be a thing. delays somehow in your partnerships or restrictions with your spouse in some way. That could be sort of the negative side of Saturn. But Virgo, I want you to use the Saturn responsible wise energy to get ideas for structuring your relationship so that it is more secure, more better, improving your relationship, improving your business contract. And so you can use that Saturn sort of to give you some tedious, responsible ways to create more harmony in your relationships, to make it so that you grow old together, and that you're going to deal with all the problems in your relationships, whether that's relationships at work with your boss or with a partnership in a business or your spouse, any of those kind of close one-to-one relationships. You can use Saturn to give you some solutions into making it tighter, better, improved, structured. And that will be very good to bring you the security you need in your relationships. Okay? And that's for you, Virgo. Libra and Libra rising, and those with their moons in Libra. Saturn, the planet of wise discipline and structure, as well as can bring delays, happens in your 6th house of your work, your health, and your pets. So here's some examples. You might not feel like you're getting paid what you're worth. Some of you might want to start your own business or get a side gig or something like that, or use Saturn's energy to help you create a nice, good promotional paper to show your boss why you should get the raise. A nice structured sort of, because Saturn does bring this structure to your things, and you can use that energy. Because I know Saturn gets a bad reputation about being the malefic or the terrible planet that brings problems and trouble, but not if we use Saturn in the way it's supposed to be, which is to use it to find structure, solutions in a wise way that can help us responsibly up level in our video game of life. So for you, example, Libra, you might want to use Saturn's energy to have super organization skills at work, because the 6th house can be about efficiency, organization, and Saturn can bring you the energy to help you be more efficient in the home, at work, with your coworkers. Superstar stuff here with Saturn. It could be also using Saturn's wise work kind of feeling to have your own little side gig or your own business, or start going into business for yourself. That could be a thing too, Libra, for you. But in any case, it's very good for organization, meaning that you can organize your health better, a health plan. If you've been feeling ill, and Saturn's going to bring you wise ideas to up level in health and making a plan. So use that Saturn organization, Libra, at this time in the next few years to up level. And it could be good for organizing pets things too, pet schedules, pet health, anything to do with pets, because that's the 6th house as well. So you can organize your life with Saturn at this point. Write things down, make plans, and follow charts, things like that in the next few years to get ahead and up level in your video game, Libra. Scorpio and Scorpio rising, and those with their moons in Scorpio. Saturn, for the next few years, comes into your 5th house of creativity and children. And so there is this sort of fear. You're dealing with fear. You're dealing with caution when it comes to your children, especially your oldest kid. For a lot of you, it could be like your teenagers causing you issues, staying out too late or not going to school or something like that. So there's lessons to be involved there that Saturn's bringing. How could be more structured, responsible? How could we fix this? And how could we, find a more wise disciplinary approach in some ways? It's like, how could we find answers and solutions through Saturn to deal with the kids? Okay, it's like teenager worry. I call it. That kind of feeling. And so the good thing about Saturn is it gives you the long-term energy required to complete really long, tedious projects. Like, for example, if you're writing a book, or painting, because creativity is a big part of the fifth house, which is like art, music. It could be a really good time for you to finish that big song or the album that you've been working on or the book you've been working on or something of the house. You're constructing something beautiful. Anything like that where you're creating something, Saturn's going to give you the energy to get it done. And even though it's really tedious and it takes a heck of a long time, well, Saturn's going to help you through it. So you could use it that way as well. Okay. Thanks, Scorpio. Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising and those with their moons in Sagittarius. Saturn, the planet of wise, responsibility, structure, and discipline, comes into your house number 4, the 4th house of home and family, meaning that your house, your real estate, your home, and your family could require a little more disciplined effort to keep things nice and running smoothly. There is definitely this focus in the next few years on your home and family. And how could we learn something new in the responsibility of that? And so Saturn can bring restrictions into something too. It could be like things are taking too long if you're doing renovations for the next few years or something like that. Or maybe it's like really hard to sell your house, or it's been hard for you. It might be hard for you to buy a house or find the perfect place or something like that. That could be a thing too with Saturn. But it's all teaching you lessons, Sagittarius, about how to be more focused and structured and responsible when it comes to the home and family. Now, you definitely need a stable home at this time. So maybe that's why it's taking a long time too. Not just Saturn bringing delays, but just the fact that you want to have a responsible, wise choice. You want to make wise decisions when it comes to home and family issues. And so you might also have a little bit of restrictions with the parents. Saturn can bring a little bit of illness sometimes too. So maybe in these next few years, one of your parents could have an illness or something like that. Maybe even someone within the family. There could be sort of this restriction delay, could be with health as well. But in either case, either way, Sagittarius, it is a good time for you to find structure and discipline and new lessons regarding the home and family, this part of your life. Capricorn and Capricorn rising and those with their moons in Capricorn. So Saturn, the planet of wise responsibility, can also bring some delays, some restriction to your 3rd house of communications and learning, meaning that you're definitely not going to be the chatterbox. It's putting this sort of delay in the way you speak. There is a delay maybe in communications in some way. It's almost like Saturn's asking you to be more focused in your communications. You're going to be seen more as a more better listener. People are going to like you for talking less and listening more, Capricorn, and that'll be very good. Saturn brings this responsible wiseness and can really be focused. So you can focus on something that you're learning in the next few years. You're really learning a topic and you can really explore the topic and open it up and maybe even use it in practical life for your job or career or your business, something like that. Because the 3rd house is a lot about learning something new. It's also about communications. So it could be like some of your communications with your siblings and your neighbors, and that there's a focus on how can I be more responsible with that. And it could be about how can I be more wise with my little sister or my little brother or something like that too. There's this whole feeling of how can we focus on our communications to get leverage and to get ahead, and how can we focus on our mind power and put all that Saturn responsible wisdom into our lives. So although that you might become less talkative, you're definitely a good listener. And it's important to lighten up though, because Saturn can bring a little bit of seriousness with the siblings, with your vehicle, and with your neighbors and community. A little bit too serious sometimes. So watch for that and make sure you do fun things, lighten up, and everything will be great for you, Capricorn, in this new journey of focused learning and focused communications. Aquarius and Aquarius rising, and those with their moons in Aquarius, Saturn floats into our second house of money and income. So there's going to be a lot more thoughts of how do I be more responsible with my money? How can I make more money? And it's more about being a little bit frugal too. I know there's this feeling with Saturn is going to bring a bit of restriction to our money. It could be a fact that some of us will be a little bit restricted in the income unless we work harder for it. It's not, Saturn brings in you got to be hardworking, responsible, and wise with your finances, Aquarius. That's kind of what we're getting here. It's really about being a little bit cautious, not buying high risk investments, kind of doing the slow way, GICs and bonds and things like gold and silver that are always going to go up through time. It's these sort of long-term, low-risk investments, we'll say. There can be a little bit of pessimism with our own self-worth. So keep up. Just know you're awesome, Aquarius, because sometimes Saturn is going to make you feel like, I'm not worth it. I'm not worthy. Oh, you know what I mean? And you are worthy and you are important and you do make a difference, okay? And for some people with Saturn in their second house, we do have the opportunity to become wealthy and rich during these few years, but it's going to take a little bit more responsibility and hard work. It's probably a lot about restructuring how you do your money, your budgeting, your business. You might want to shrink the business a bit if it's too sporadic and all, because Saturn wants focus. It's discipline. It's structure. So we want to get that in our business, if you own your own business, and think of ways to streamline things and think of ways to gain more income and things like that. So there's a lot of focus about your money, your resources, and also this feeling of trying to be a little safer with the money. All right, Pisces. So Saturn bringing some wise and responsibility stuff to your first house of self. Lots of things, because Saturn is moving into Pisces and you are a Pisces. So you're really going to feel the Saturn effects. And as long as you stay responsible and wise, you're going to be good. Okay, Pisces? Working hard for a goal. You're going to be aware of what's right and what's wrong more so than usual. And you are going to be a little more responsible here for the next few years. Just watch out you're not too hard on yourself, because that can happen. And you might get some anxiety or guilt from trying to be someone that maybe you're not, or trying to overly be responsible and so point to the serious, being too serious. We want to lighten up a little bit while Saturn's in your first house of self too, because it can bring a heaviness, all this responsibility and lessons. So we have to be careful that we don't get too bombarded with anxiety and guilt of things like that, right? You definitely need an understanding partner at this time. So hopefully your spouse, your partner, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever, is very supportive, and you're gonna need their support to lean on during this time as well. Now, with Saturn and Pisces, you don't feel super safe and secure unless your intuition is going and it was working. So you want your intuition to be working good, and so I would suggest lapis lazuli would be a nice one for you, as well as Auralite 23 if you can get your hands on it. It's kind of a hard one to get to. And even amethyst would be very good overall one for you, Pisces, during this few years while Saturn's in your first house of self. Also watch your feet, get yourself some good shoes. And some of you might even need orthopedic shoes at this time as well. So thanks, Pisces, for watching. All right, so there is all the forecasts. So yes, Saturn teaches us lessons, but it can be hard sometimes. but we always become a better, more improved us after the whole thing. So just think of Saturn as the wise grandma that teaches us the way. And yes, it involves a little more work than we're used to, but the rewards are plenty. All right. And if you'd like your own personal reading, come visit me. I got lots of different kinds of readings. We can do a video for you like this that you can watch again and again, or we could do a recorded Zoom session together. And if you live around Peace River, Alberta, I even have the reading room and you can come visit me there as well. So yeah. One more thing I wanted to say about Saturn is that this year we're in a water year. When it comes to Chinese astrology, it's a watery sort of thing, and fire is going to be really needed and good, and it's good to have fire. So do fiery things. Even make sure you're warm. Make sure you exercise to get the blood pumping and circulation going so that you feel hot, and do spontaneous fun things like take a dance class or do a paint wine party finally that you've always wanted to do, or join a volleyball team this year, or something that is fiery and spontaneous. And look up on Google fire element things or something like that. Like look up fire element in Chinese astrology, things like that. You're going to really see maybe some new ideas. You know, it could be about cinnamon. It's a fiery kind of, adding more cinnamon, adding more spice to your food, if you can take it. Even a little bit of cayenne pepper, things like that. This fiery stuff we need definitely for this year, particularly in 2023 with all the water energy too. And so with Saturn coming in, bringing a little more heaviness and a little bit more of that kind of feeling, and pessimism is sometimes, we need the fire, the happy fire to thrive. All right. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm Trina, your intuitive guide, helping you navigate life's energies. Bye for now.